The last couple years, Cummins and Ram have laid dormant in the background watching both GM and Ford update and release brand new diesel engines, but rumor has it in 2025, Cummins is coming back for that crown with vengeance, dropping a brand new diesel engine. Welcome back, I'm Alex. Behind me is a 2024 Ram 2500 Rebel. Nice looking truck, but what makes that truck so special is the option of getting the 6.7 liter Cummins, and that is exactly what we're talking about today. Mopar Insider dropped some pretty heavy hitting news that apparently in 2025, there'll be a brand new Cummins engine coming out in these Ram trucks. Right off the bat, Cummins is apparently introducing another variant of the long-standing 6.7 liter Cummins engine. This variant is apparently going to be more powerful than the current high output engine only available in the Ram 3500s. Another thing Mopar Insider is reporting is that apparently there's only going to be one version of this engine, so no longer will we see the separation of a standard output engine and a high output engine, which I find very interesting. Currently, the standard output Cummins in these 2500s puts out 370 horsepower as well as 850 pound-feet of torque. Now, if you're lucky enough to get the high output version only available in the 3500s, that's putting out 420 horsepower as well as 1,075 pound-feet of torque. Personally, I don't mind the separation or the option of the standard output and the high output going right into the trash, especially when, once again, apparently this new version is going to be even more powerful than the high output. And I think there's one main reason why Cummins would do this. I've been beating this drum for a while. I always felt like Ram should have offered the high output Cummins in the 2500 platform, as well as getting rid of that rather subpar 68 RFE 6-speed transmission. And apparently Ram agrees. Starting in 2025 with that new version of the Cummins engine, this 2500 diesel platform will see a massive power increase, as well as being hooked up to that brand new ZF 8-speed HD powerline transmission. I made a video about 6 weeks ago talking about that transmission. I truly feel like that is going to be a wonderful unit, potentially even bulletproof. So with that strapped behind this new higher powered version of the Cummins, boy oh boy, look out. This 2025 2500 Cummins platform could be incredible. Something this Ram 2500 platform really needed. Currently, these are one of the worst selling vehicles in America. As for the high output Cummins in the 3500s, the 6-speed Aisin transmission is no longer going to be available. It'll be discontinued apparently starting in 2025. Absolutely nothing wrong with the 6-speed Ace. I think it's a really strong unit, but the 8-speed ZF is going to be a vastly better transmission, and well, you get 2 extra gears, so I don't think the 6-speed Aisin is going to be missed. Now, we don't know any concrete numbers for this new Cummins engine, but I would suspect they're trying to approach the Ford high output PowerStroke, maybe even surpassing that. And if so, I'm really interested to see what they've done to the internal workings of the engine, what they've done to strengthen it to be able to produce that much power, hopefully very reliably. I think the reason why Cummins is ditching the standard output and high output and going to just one engine is simply due just to cost and ease of manufacturing. It's much easier and cost effective to produce one engine on one production line. When I discussed the high output PowerStroke and the differences between the high output and the standard output, Ford basically said the same thing. It was too expensive to make 2 separate engines. So the end result is that all the updates that went into the high output version of the engine also went into the standard output version, so that way Ford only had to really make one engine. The standard output PowerStroke and the high output PowerStroke are almost mechanically identical, with 2 real main differences. The high output version uses stainless steel exhaust manifolds as well as a slightly different turbo, but all of the internal updates given to the high output version to allow it to produce that much power were also given to the standard output, like updated cylinder heads, updated pistons, updated fuel pump, updated injectors, were all given to the standard output engine, and Ford claims it's just cheaper to do it that way. So if you have a 2023 standard output PowerStroke or higher, you have some nice updated internals, if you didn't know. Moral of the story is Cummins probably wanted to streamline its production. Currently, unlike Ford, The Cummins standard output and high output use different internals. Standard output uses different pistons, has a different compression ratio, and so forth. So essentially they are two different engines, where now there's only going to be one engine, which I actually really like. It just simplifies the Ram HD platform in general. One engine, one transmission. One transmission. Now, alongside a completely revamped diesel powertrain, in 2025, the HD trucks should see some different headlight options, different front grille, maybe different bumper. Front end looks to be quite different, potentially some different rims. Taillights should be different. The interior is going to get a little bit of a spruce up. One thing that is not changing, though, is the cab. These cabs have been around, I believe, since 2009, maybe 2010 with the HD trucks, but the cabs are still staying because why fix what ain't broke, baby? Finally, with the new Cummins and the ZF 8-speed, we don't really know what kind of gearing is going to be offered. Currently, the standard output Cummins can only be offered with the 373s. Now, if you get the high output Cummins version in the 3500s, you can get 373s or 410s. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens in 2025 in terms of what gearing is offered. I suspect they'll probably offer the same gears, 373s or 410s, but we'll see. Mopar Insider also broke some news about the long-standing 6.4 liter Hemi. Apparently, at least through the 2025 model year, the gasoline option, the 6.4 liter Hemi, will remain untouched, with one exception. Apparently, there will be some update to the emission components, which who really knows what that means. I thought for sure Ram was gonna jump ship from the 6.4 Hemi. With the 2025 model update, I thought it was a perfect time. And while Stellantis seems to want to put the Hemi V8s in the grave, they've done so with literally every other model that Stellantis sells in North America. I even made a number of videos talking about potential replacements for the 6.4 Hemi, but it seems, at least through the 2025 model year, that this will be the only V8 that Stellantis, Fiat, Chrysler, whatever you want to call them, will sell in North America, which is kind of cool, I guess. It seems once again Ram went with the motto, don't fix what ain't broke. And the 6.4 Hemi, it isn't a showstopper. I think the 7.3 Godzilla is probably the top dog in terms of HD gas engines, but this engine paired with its own 8-speed ZF transmission, I think is a pretty solid setup. It's a decent powertrain. For me, it works just fine. I tow pretty often. And I think for most people, it just gets the job done, and that's why Ram, Stellantis has kept this powertrain in place for the time being. Overall, for the diesel side of the Ram HD trucks, I think this is exactly what they needed, a powertrain refresh. I think at least in terms of the 2500 platform, it was no longer really that competitive. I know when I towed with the 2500 6.7 Cummins with that rather subpar 6-speed transmission, on my towing loop, at least in comparison to the Duramax as well as the PowerStroke, it was not competitive. It was by far the worst towing engine. And I think in 2025, with that more powerful Cummins engine and hopefully bulletproof ZF 8-speed transmission, this 2500 platform will be extremely competitive. As always, guys, let me know what you think. Do you think Cummins is gonna try and beat Ford's high output PowerStroke, that 1200 pound-feet of torque mark? I don't know, it seems pretty high up there, but I think Cummins is gonna come back with a vengeance. Again, very excited about that. If you did like the video, don't forget to leave that thumbs up. And if you like stuff like this, don't forget to subscribe, because, well, I can't wait to get my hands on that 2025 Cummins, put it on my own towing loop, and see what she's got. Anyways, enough of me. We'll see you in the next freaking video.